Hello everyone and welcome to RcHelpDotCom. I'm Tony and today we're going to be talking about the airplane setup in the DX9. Now this is going to be more of a generic airplane setup and more specific setups will come along as they're requested. So if you guys have a request on an airplane that you want set up, let me know. Click on the link below, come over to the forum and post up. So let's go ahead and dive up close and I'll show you guys how to get an airplane in your radio and get ready to start flying. Alright, so there's three ways that you can go in and make a model in your radio. The first, push and hold the roller and turn your radio on. Then go down into model select and then add new model. Alright, the second way, we'll go ahead and boot it up. Then push your scroll button, scroll all the way down to system setup. It'll ask you if you're sure, yes, model select, and then add new model. The third way, we'll just go ahead and back out of here, let it reactivate. We're going to push both of these, the clear and the back button at the same time. Whenever we do that, it goes right into that menu, and then we can go in, add new model. Alright, in here, select create. Alright, now we need to figure out what model type we're doing. Right now, we're doing an airplane. Select airplane, data will be reset, yes. Alright, model name, as you can see, says Acro. Now if I had a model to bind this to, I would go ahead and put a name such as RCH Trainer, RCH Edge 540. You have 20 characters that you can use to name your model. Alright, we'll go back. Aircraft type. Now this is where you're going to select your wing type. You got normal, dual aileron, flaperons, one aileron, one flap, one aileron, two flaps, two aileron, one flap, two aileron, two flap, elevon, elevon B, and four aileron. Your four aileron are going to be for like your big 100cc 3D planes that are running 2 servos per aileron, and you want to plug each one of them in to an independent channel. Most are going to be on normal, where you have one servo doing both ailerons, kind of like on the RcHelp Edge 540. Or you're going to just run dual ailerons. A lot of people don't run flaps. A lot of people are intimidated by flaps. Alright, now here's the other one. You got 2 aileron servos and 1 flap servo. However, a lot of people are going to run 2 servos, but they're going to run these into a Y harness and only go into one channel on the receiver. Or you could go into 2 different channels. Since this is a 9-channel radio, you've got the channels available. Now you also got flaperons. Now these are actually going to turn your ailerons into flaps. It's just going to lower them down just a little bit, and then it's still going to work them as ailerons. They do work, not quite as effective as standard flaps, but they do work. On most of mine, this is what I run, dual aileron. Now on your tail, this right here is your standard setup, 1 servo for your elevator, 1 servo for rudder. You've also got your VTEL A, VTEL B, dual elevator with a single rudder, dual rudder with a single elevator, and then a dual setup. Most people are going to run it like this, especially on like the RcHelp Trainer. Alright, we'll go down here into next. Alright, now in the aircraft option, as you can see, we got gyro 1, 2, 3 and then pitch curve. We're going to get into this menu in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. We'll go ahead and back out of there. Alright, so your F mode setup, click in here and you can select like what switch you want. So we'll click that. We'll go ahead and select our usual flight mode switch. And as you can see right down here on the bottom, 4, 3, 5. What you can do is you can set it up for takeoff, flight, and landing. You know, a lot of planes are going to act differently depending on which one you're doing. And flight is probably going to be more stable than coming into land. We're going to get more into this in the advanced videos rather than right here. So let's continue setting up that radio. Go ahead and click back. Spoken flight mode. So we got our flight mode 4 and then mode 4. And what it's going to do,
flight mode 4,
it's going to tell you which mode you're in. Alright, so if you want to change your flight mode and what that lady says, you can go up here, speak, flight mode 5, 6, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, say your flight mode 4 is to land.
landing mode,
Alright, there you go.
flight mode 3, landing mode,
So you can go in here and you can set up the custom voice commands as to what your flight modes are for, whether it be takeoff, flying, or landing. Back out of that. Your channel assign, you can go in here and actually change what the receiver ports do. If say you wanted your throttle port on your receiver to be something different. Say you want a throttle port to be your elevator. So now that you got an elevator, basically your elevator control is now going to be on the throttle port on your receiver. This is like a great thing for those OCD people where they want to get all their wires nice and straight. They can move all their wires around and make it nice and clean. Alright, go back. Model utilities. This right here, you can create a model, delete a model, copy a model, reset a model, or sort your model list. And here, say you wanted your acro all the way up at the top, you just click it, move that sucker all the way to the top. For me, just keep them in numerical order. Alright, we'll back up. In your warnings, now in here, you can set your alarm to voice or vibrate, or any number of things. You got tone, vibrate, tone and vibe, voice and vibrate. Voice and vibrate, you know, that's kind of the whole thing with the DX9. You want the voice. Alright, throttle over 10%. So if your throttle is just slightly up, it'll tell you, hey, your throttle's high. If you have retractable landing gears, you want to make sure that you have the switch to where you're in landing mode with your retracts down. And if you don't, and you switch this thing on, it's going to suck them retracts up and damage the bottom of your plane. If you set up flight mode, then you can go in and you can set which one of these you want to be in, whether it's, you know, flying, landing, or whatever. And then down here, you can select different deals, and then over here you can select 10%, 5%, whatever, center stick. It doesn't matter, but you can go in and you can set different parameters in each of these. For me, I don't need any of that. Back out of that. Alright, your telemetry, we're going to get more into this in another video because there's a lot you can do with the telemetry, and we're going to do this on the Nitro 600. Alright, your pre-flight setup. If you want to go in and you want to set this up, say you want to make sure your fuel plugs in place so you're not leaking fuel when you're flying. Flap position, you want to make sure your flaps are in the right position, your switch is in the correct position. You can go in and you can set this up to where you have to go in and check these off and make sure they're done before this radio will initialize. Down here on Modulation, Inhibit is for DSM2, Active is going to be for your DSMX guys. Once you bind your radio up, this should change automatically. Your Execute, this is going to depend, you know, you can turn it off if you don't want to do pre-flights. You can do it per session, or you can do it every single flight. This is up to you. If you want to do all these pre-flights, go in, set them up, set every flight, or per session. For me, we're just going to go ahead and inhibit this. Alright, go back. Now your frame rate. If you're running digital servos, you can select 11 millisecond. Digital servos must be used. If you run an analog, stay on 22. Now again, when you bind, this is going to change DSMX or DSM2. If you know what you're going to bind to, you can select which one you want. Scroll down here to next. Now in here, the binding process, you can leave the voice on where it says binding, what kind of bind, DSM2, DSMX, telemetry, and bind failed. If you want to turn them off, you can just go in and turn them all off. Alright, go back, and then your bind. This is your binding mode, as she says. Alright, once you're ready to bind, you have your battery plugged in, your receiver's over there flashing, it's ready to accept the signal, you can select bind. Whenever I click this, it's actually going to say binding, and then it's going to say bind failed.
Binding. Bind failed.
Obviously there's nothing to bind to. Alright, we'll go ahead and go back. Trainer, again, this is going to be another video because there is a lot you can do with this radio, especially with a wireless trainer. Alright, your digital switch setup, you can go in here and say switch B. You're going to have 3 positions. You can go in and on your monitor menu, it's going to show on position 0, 100%, 0%, negative 100. That's basically going to take that little dial from here to here to here. If you need to go in and adjust this, you can go ahead and go in. This is more of an advanced menu. I just want to kind of explain it to you. We're going to get more into this in the advanced setup. Alright, system settings, we've already done that video. If you want to see it, come on over to the forum. And then transfer SD card has nothing to do here unless you bought your aircraft from somebody that had a DX9 and you can transfer his file into your radio and make setup a complete cinch. From there, we'll just back out of here, go all the way back up here, main screen.
Flight mode 3.
We're on flight mode 3.
Landing mode.
Landing mode.
Flight mode 5. Landing mode.
Right on. Alright y'all, so I hope that helps you out on setting up your airplane. Now, this little setup, it can be done on a little park flyer, your little binding flies, the RC Help trainer, the RC Help Edge 540. All of those are really simple to set up. The advanced setup is going to be on the 3D planes, the scale planes, like the big, like B-52, stuff like that. They got Bombay doors and sequencers and all this other really cool stuff that's in this one little bitty radio. If you have any questions, guys, right below this video is a link to an article on the forum. Come over there, post up, and we'll help you guys out. As always, if you have suggestions, post them up, and we'll try to get them put on video for you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.